Guys, I'm back. You didn't even know I was gone, but I'm back. I've been away at sea for a month, and I am back. I got my sea legs on, and I put my land legs back on. Is that what landlubbers are?
But my question is, while you were you at sea with Kurt? Like, did Pirate Kurt come back?
No, there were no pirates, thankfully.
Dang.
No. Like, here's the thing, though. Like, I've actually sailed in waters where pirates are, and they're not. It's not a good thing.
Oh,
it's not a good thing. Anyway, guys, welcome to Simply Amazing. I'm Lisa, aka the OG Nocturne, and right here to my left, actually, she's right in front of me. I'm looking straight in her eyes right now, dressed like the green M&M. Which, if you're following me on Twitter, you see that me and the green M&M are really getting close. We have the fabulous. I'm going to throw it right to her to introduce herself.
Hi guys, I'm Lauren, your friendly neighborhood bi, and I am so thrilled that Lisa is back because we have not been able to record for a month because she's been at sea. And it's, in a way, it's felt like a month without Kurt himself too.
Oh, yes,
because
true.
I love talking about him as much as we do when we record, and so it's been a January. Let's put it that way. It's been a winter, but we're back. We're back to spring. And to good times again.
Although, according to Puxatawny Phil, or whatever it is, we got more winter coming. But, listen, it's as if we as a people had issues with science to begin with. I mean, we've been looking to freaking groundhogs for our climate. So, you know what? We're screwed no matter what. It's all good, though. Who cares?
You're right. I mean, so we record this in America, in case you didn't know. And we're easily screwed in America right now. So anyways, it's fine though, because at least we're not as screwed as Screen Rant is after the article they posted, because Lisa in particular, I sent this to her because somebody shared it with me. I can't remember who. I'm so sorry. I've double checked, but somebody sent it to me and I was like, oh wow, this looks like an article that Lisa is going to be thrilled to read. So I sent to her and she was like, oh my God. And then she read it and she's like, Lauren, this is all wrong. All wrong. Why is it wrong? What did Screen Rant do?
Okay. Let's take it back for a second. So, Lauren sent me this fabulous article, and it was all about Nocturne. And for those of you who are not aware, I absolutely adore Nocturne. She is my number one fave. I love her to death. Nocturne, for those of you unaware, like, what the hell are you doing here? I mean, you should have been listening already. We've talked about her several times. You should know who Nocturne is.
We did an episode on her.
We've done an episode on her, and I know I've mentioned her many times. And if you ever see me in Discord, I'm constantly talking about her. But Nocturne is, of course, the daughter of Scarlet Witch and Nightcrawler. And it is very rare in this time because she has not really been in a comic book since like 2018, 2019 at this point. And even at that point, the comic book that she was in, it was not great. And she was past her prime area of time. Like hadn't been a good story written with her in a while, essentially. And I admit that as a full Nocturne stan, I admit it. And so Screen Rant comes up with this article, and I'm just like, oh my God, my girl is relevant again. They're talking about her. What does this mean? And of course, I'm getting hyped because Scarlet Witch has been everywhere, right? So it's like, and that's her mama. And she's everywhere now with the MCU. She's like one of the biggest characters in the MCU. So that's a big deal. And of course, we all know that the X-Men are coming to the MCU. So I'm like, oh my God, are they dripping stuff? Is something going to happen? What's going to happen? No, it's just a clickbait article because they want to get, I guess basically Screen Rant wanted to they went to the Scarlet Witch Wikipedia page and were like, we're going to write an article about every single thing we can possibly write just to get the clicks. Because even I'm looking at the article and they lead off with Scarlet Witch and Nightcrawler's daughter because for SEO, of course, they want to make sure they get that Scarlet Witch book. So listen, I don't hate it. Get your clicks, but God, for the love of God, get it right at least. Come on, get it right.
What was the title of the article? Like word for word?
Oh my God. Okay. Even the title makes me angry. The title makes me angry because the thing is that the title is hyperbolic and And in its hyperbolic way, I can appreciate it. But then when I read it and realize how little they know about the situation and the character, I'm like, no, they just don't know what they're talking about. So Scarlet Witch and Nightcrawler's daughter was too powerful for the X-Men. Okay, so again, I love my girl Nocturne. I love Talia J. She is everything to me. I love her so much. I even have a little stuffed Nocturne behind me that my friend Lauren made. Oh, not this Lauren, another Lauren.
Not me.
The Lauren,
I'm not that talented.
No, you are very talented, but in other ways, girl. So, another Lauren from over in the UK. Hey, girl, if you're listening, she made this lovely Nocturne. I even brought it to Japan and took pictures of it with me. So Nocturne is powerful. Don't get me wrong. Girl's got powers. I would say more so than is she powerful, that she has several different power sets. Like, I guess the point I'm making is, how dare you say she's too powerful to be on a team with, like, the Phoenix? It's a weird thing to say.
Well, and the implication there with the title, to me, too powerful for the X-Men. Yeah, the implication is either she's too powerful to be on the X-Men, or she's too powerful for them to handle, meaning like, oh, she defeated the X-Men. Like it's insinuating she's as powerful as the Phoenix on the other end. And that's not true either. Like, again, we can love Nocturne as much as we want, but she's not that level, and at least not now. Her powers haven't developed. They haven't written her, and God knows how long. They haven't written her properly. She hasn't had time to develop. I mean, Kurt just had development where we saw him teleport in a whole new way in the last issue of Way of X. That should have happened decades ago, but didn't happen until last year, because they finally decide, oh yeah, let's write a Kurt-centric story and actually upgrade his powers like we've upgraded everybody else's. So, yeah, the title is incredibly misleading and like, what?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, Nocturne wasn't even the most powerful member of the Exiles. So, like, where do you get... She wasn't even the most powerful member of her own team of X-Men. Like, where do you get off saying she is too powerful for the X-Men? And also, can we also just take a second? Like, her mother's the goddamn Scarlet Witch. Like, don't go... We can't start calling people more powerful than what if your mom's a Scarlet Witch. It's just like... No, it's true. It's like... Yeah, it's like your mother being like Halle Berry, and then people being like, well, you're the most beautiful, you're just too beautiful for anything. No, her mother's Halle Berry. I'm sorry, you can't say that.
No, and I'm glad you brought the Exiles, because when you were telling me what was wrong with the article, you know, I was like, okay, well, what else other than Tao? Because that makes sense. Like, and you were like, they say things, they read one issue, and they didn't read all these other things. They say shit that is not accurate about the Exiles. So what the hell did they say about them?
Listen, I'm not going to call out names. Spencer Connolly from Screen Rant. Listen, okay. I have no hate in my heart, because I have nothing but love for anyone who wants to talk about my girl. But like, I need to share, and I need to proselytize about my girl and like get the facts straight. You know, let's get the facts straight, ma'am. Just the facts, ma'am, is what it is. Essentially, he talks about Exiles number 41 by Jim Calafiore, and Exiles 41 is a great Nocturne issue. It's Exiles 41 and I think Exiles 42 are the two issues that he really, really delves into in this. And it seems that he uses that specifically as his base and as his reference for the character and for her relationships and for the Exiles. But here's the issue. The Exiles aren't in Exiles 41 or 42. There's no Exiles in there. Like, there's not a single goddamn Exile. Like, Nocturne's not even an Exile yet. Like, there's no Exiles in those two books. Those two issues were a reflection back on when she was in her home world of Earth 2182. The whole idea of that was because she's such a unique character in that she has this relationship, like her father is Nightcrawler, and she talks a lot throughout Exiles, having grown up with the X-Men and how important her relationships were with them. Like, she refers to Jean as someone who had raised her, and she she calls Kitty Aunt Kate, and so there's all these different, like, Logan is Uncle Logan, and she even refers to, like, the way she describes Logan is as if he was almost a third parent. Like, there's this cute scene where she's talking with John, who then becomes her baby daddy. That's a very sad story we'll have to get into one day. But so there's a very cute moment where she's talking with John, aka Thunderbird from Age of Apocalypse, who is leagues more powerful than Nocturne in Exiles. But again, she's too powerful for the X-Men, so whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a time where she's talking to him about when she went to high school, and it was like both of her parents decided to send her to public school, but the only person against the idea was Uncle Logan, as if Uncle Logan had to say, you're not a parent, but it made it seem like he was this third parent that, always was kind of like trying to help her in a lot of ways too. So, so there's all of this stuff that's in the 40 issues prior to this. There are all these little hints, drops, and I think what they decided they wanted to show what her home life was like and what it was like there. And so what they did was in Exiles 41 and 42, it's coached basically as if she's telling Blink the story. So she narrates the story, and then you get her kind of telling the story of when it's a very specific moment in her life when her Aunt Kate is swapped with a younger version of Kitty Pryde, and this weird situation where suddenly this woman who was like an authority figure to her and like a almost a parental figure to her is now replaced with like this person who's younger than her, and she's now in charge with like acclimating her to the school. But on top of that, the Brotherhood shows up and like fights them and everything too, and like Cyclops is in charge of the Brotherhood and Rogue's on the Brotherhood. It's a whole lot of stuff. There's so many cool characters in the so the name of the Earth is Professor W's X-Men, because technically Wolverine takes on the role of Xavier. But so let's get back to the article though before we go. So I'm just so
well, at least now we know what the article should have talked about. That's what we should have read about. So what the world did the article actually talk about if it didn't talk about any of that?
Well, the thing is like it does talk about this, but it just mislabels things. So in this issue, the Exiles are fighting Apocalypse, who is threatening to take over the world using his well-established superior strength and intellect. Not only is she a prominent fighter against the potentially world-ending villain, but Nocturne is the narrative throughout the issue. Okay, so yeah. So here's the deal. Those aren't the Exiles, right? I've said that. Those aren't the Exiles. Like, those are the X-Men. Those are actually the X-Men who are fighting Apocalypse. They might look weird because it's a weird team, but that's because it's a weird world. They're on a totally different world. It's not the Exiles, though. But they even go further. Like, they just keep doubling down, and they're like, she gets to be on this team of Exiles with her father, and it's like, no, she doesn't. That's not the Exiles. It's just again, it's just.
Don't they say that They say Kurt's in exile. Like, what?
Yes. He's never been in exile. It's never happened. Nightcrawler has never been in exile. Do you know why Nightcrawler's never been in exile? Because Nocturne's a fucking exile. Why would they have Nightcrawler be in exile when she's there? Like, what's the point? That was the whole thing, actually, when Namora shows up. They're like, oh, wow, lots of blue chicks showing up all of a sudden. And guess what? Nocturne left like two issues after Namora shows up. So it's not happening, guys. So, enough. But, it's just... I love anything. Don't get me wrong. Please write articles about my girl, even if they're wrong, because it gives me a reason to talk about her. But just this whole thing felt very like, okay, we need something to say about the Scarlet Witch this week. What haven't we said? Well, we haven't talked about this, so someone just read something. And and honestly, the only time that the Scarlet Witch appears on panel from Nocturne's world is in, I think, 42 or it's in one of these issues, and she appears briefly on the screen, and like Nightcrawler's just like, go get him, Liebchen, because she's like fighting some aliens or something. Like the Avengers are coming back from fighting some aliens. So it's just this cute like scene where he's just like, oh, she's doing good. She's out there fighting aliens. And but it's just, I don't understand it. It's just, I don't get it.
It's like you said, they clearly just needed something, and they're like, well, what else about Scarlet Witch? And somebody said, oh, well, I think she had a kid in another world, Nightcrawler. I could write some BS about that. And they said, please, put it up there, and make sure you put Scarlet Witch in the title for SSO, like you said. And that's what they did, and they clearly read those issues, but they didn't actually process what was happening, because if they had actually processed that issue, they would know that wasn't the Exiles, that was the X-Men. Like, they would know these basic things. They didn't read it that well. They clearly just wanted an article, and that sucks, because yeah, I agree. It's like even though I'm not as big a Nocturne fan as you by any measure, it's like oh my gosh, I would love for people to talk about her. Please do that. But if you're going to talk about her, know what the fuck you're saying. Like,
Yes,
do
please.
the research. Actually say it correctly. And if you don't, then correct it. If somebody says, hey, you actually got this wrong, be like, oh shit, yeah, we'll fix our article, no problem. But like,
No, I totally agree.
you just want something.
It's just, so they just keep talking about, when she joined the Exiles, Nocturne joined the ranks of some of the most skilled fighters and powerful brutes from across the multiverse, including the very son of Apocalypse, Armageddon. No, she didn't. That was the X-Men on her world. Why do you keep doubling down? Why do you keep doubling down? It's just, maybe I'm supposed to get this angry and heated, and we're supposed to make this podcast, and more people are supposed to go read it because of that. But hey, listen, if more people learn about Nocturne, then that's fine. That is all worth it.
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy because you would think that if it was the X-Men, they want to see the X-Men because that's even more people will recognize that in the article than the Exiles. But yeah, you're right. It is interesting. They really double down the Exiles. That kind of makes me think that whoever wrote the article really thought they were like getting it right by calling that the Exiles. But like, you're wrong. Like, you tried so hard to get it right. You screwed it up. Like, you didn't have to think that hard. Look, it's the X-Men. Oh my god, but this is the Exiles book. Yes, but that is the X-Men on that page. Promise you.
I promise it was the X-Men. I promise it was the X-Men. And they just end it with talking about like her hex bolts, and her possession, and her her immunity to telepathic attacks, which that's all true. That she has her little hex bolts, which her hex bolts are actually not hex bolts. She just calls them that. But they actually, what she does is she tears open a portal to the dimension her father teleports through and pulls energy through it to use. It's a very, very convoluted way to say that she like goes bang bang with her hands. Like it's literally just energy comes out of her hands, but the very convoluted way to say it is like she's opening this tear in the multiverse or whatever, and pulling through this energy from the whatever that the brimstone dimension in order to like to force that energy at people. But no, it's just boom boom hands.
Yeah.
And then her possession, which was her first power that she ever manifested, was her possession power, which she just jumps into people and possesses them, except Rachel Gray, which for some reason she jumps into Rachel Gray and takes a nap. We had to talk about that one day. I reread that a couple weeks ago. I reread that.
She jumped in her and said, "This girl is tired. I am putting her straight to bed."
She did. Like, Nocturne just jumped in, and then Rachel's like, "Girl, just take a nap, girl. Girl, first of all, girl, you're not taking over me. First of all, I'm fucking Phoenix. Second of all, I mean, you're too first of all, I know you think you're too powerful for me because Spencer Connolly said so, but you're not. I'm the Phoenix. Number one, and number two, I fucked your daddy, and number three, like, just take a nap, girl. You don't want to get in this mess. You do not want to get in this brain. I'm guaranteeing it." That's what Rachel said to her.
Right.
And and so, and then the immunity to telepathic attacks, like, Nocturne was born with like this innate telepathic ability, but it's really more, they've never really gone terribly into detail about it. It's kind of just, they used her telepathic power once very briefly in the very, very, very beginning of Exiles when they had to build a Cerebra to find Xavier. But other than that, I don't really remember much being done with it. But yeah, those are all her powers. But interestingly enough, about the Hexbolt power, Screen Rant also recently wrote an article about Salamander, which, again, Screen Rant, I give you props, girl. You're going for it. But like, Salamander showed up on one page of one book, Millennial Visions, the same book that Nocturne was in for the very first time. They both appeared in the same book. And like, there's no information about him except that he creates these bolts. And basically what they did was, when they created Nocturne for Exiles, they took that power from him and gave it to her. So it's, maybe he'll show up again, who knows? But like, they did this whole article about Salamander and how, he's using Nightcrawler's power as blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, oh my God, guys. Okay. You're going to write a whole article about this. God bless. Get those clicks.
Well, and yeah, it's interesting because yes, they get the big picture wrong and the details with it, but at the same time, their motivation seems well. So Screen Rant, appreciate it. I agree with Lisa. Appreciate you trying to tackle different things and all that, but like, do it better. Like, do it right. Like, there's a way, and I just, if you need some tips, like, let us know. Like, come find us on Twitter. We're happy to help with those articles. Lisa will help with those Nocturne articles like
Oh, 100%.
crazy. Like,
Oh
we're
yeah,
here.
yeah, which is totally such an in-demand field, be helping with Nocturne articles. I understand.
It,
So
it's so in demand. I mean, especially after this. So even if they, they're technically wrong in the title of this article with, oh, she's more, powerful or whatever than the X-Men or something. Do you think that Nocturne, if she was actually written more and well and developed, do you think she could become more powerful than her mother at some point?
no, absolutely not. She doesn't
Okay.
have the power set for it. It's just the thing is that there are certain characters that so like for example, like I don't think Nightcrawler could ever be more powerful than like the likes of the Scarlet Witch or the
Oh,
Phoenix. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
yeah, there are certain characters whose power sets they will never ever compete with other characters' power sets, And some characters they've been able to kind of like I look at Iceman and they've been able to evolve him in a way into this omega level mutant way where it's like no, he doesn't just turn to ice, he kind of has this like power over like the molecules and all this different stuff, and he can turn his whole body into ice, and he can like change climate. Like if he actually opened up himself, he could like change. Like there's just so much else he can do with his power. But like when it comes to like the power of teleporting, I mean, like, here's the thing. Fabian Cortez gave him the absolute limits of his power, and he was able to teleport a planet, but that's still not more powerful than the Phoenix. And that's still not more powerful than the
No.
Scarlet Witch.
Well, because that's only one ability, whereas, like, Scarlet, I mean, you can't be changing reality. I mean, that's the thing. If Scarlet Witch did not have that ability, then all these other people could potentially become more powerful than her in some other way, especially if they have multiple powers like she does. But because she has that reality altering ability, but it did interest me when you mentioned earlier that Nocturne, when she shoots her hex bolt, she has to open the dimension and all that. Her powers could technically evolve then. She could technically become, depending on how it's written, it would obviously have to be developed over time and all that, but she could potentially get the ability to open portals, and then that could expand on itself. I mean, just because Scarlet Witch is her mom, I think she has access for this to happen over time. It would take a very long time because she hasn't been developed worth a shit, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
I think it's technically possible. I don't know if it's realistic.
I think she could definitely become more powerful than Nightcrawler, for sure.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that, so Nightcrawler uses the Brimstone dimension for teleportation through, and the idea is that Nocturne can open up these portals to pull energy through. What's to say she can't open them up and also move through them if she was able to suddenly control the way she used that power one day? So you're right. There are more kind of options for where she could go. Plus, she has the possession power, which of course has that telepathic area in it where she can, tap into people's minds when she's possessing them and use them that way. So yeah, I think but I don't think she'll ever get to the level of like, Jean or Wanda or, even like Magneto, anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think because again, she's the kid of Scarlet Witch and Kurt. I think if writers gave a shit about her character and wrote her, I think over the next decade or however long, she could become one of those characters. Kind of like how there's other characters that have developed into their roles. I mean, Iceman his power was nothing when he first started, and
he throws snowballs around and he became a snowman.
Right. And even like, I don't know, 6+ years ago, he was still like, they hadn't developed the molecule stuff, and now all of a sudden he's an omega level mutant and stuff. Like,
he's
I
going down fireman's poles. Like,
yeah, I mean, imagine if they somehow developed Nocturne to the point where she was so strong in possession, like she was a omega level mutant in possession, she could possess like the Phoenix Force, which would never happen. But like, just imagine that crazy shit. Like, that's insane to think about. She has potential, and I want it. I want it to happen. Like, I want her to develop.
So the thing is that her thing with her power too is that when she possesses you, she's capable of using your powers. So it's not like, she possesses you and then, like, for example, if you have a power that's very unwieldy and you needed a lot of training to use it, like she doesn't necessarily need that. She can use it. I think it's because she just taps into your brain and she can just do whatever you can do. It's kind of like Sync in that way, but Sync can do whatever you can do, but he can do it better. But I think she can kind of match what you can do. But that's a really good point, because I mean, here's the thing, that the point you've opened up that I haven't considered is she can possess anyone, which does open up the idea that she could become very powerful if she possessed the right person. But she has to get to that person.
She could possess her mother, for God's sake. Done.
Yeah, I know, but didn't she get grounded?
I mean, that's only if she gets stopped.
That's true. Oh my God, what if House of M was just Nocturne?
There you go, new What If comic. Marvel, that's your freebie. That's your freebie from us.
Like, Nocturne just shows up and is like, where am I in this universe? Okay, we gotta fix this. Okay, now we're gonna redo this whole thing. Okay, shut it down. Now Grandpa's in charge. Done. Let's make it happen.
That would be really, really cool. I would actually love to see that story written. So if anybody wants to write that, please do.
Yes.
Like, even if it's just like a fanfic, like, please link us. I would really love to read that.
Yeah, I think that's genius. I'd be more interested in that House of M than the House of M where Nocturne just takes a nap in Rachel's head. So.
Yeah.
Although I did enjoy that. That was really silly. Like, okay, I just take a nap, girl. It's okay. Why don't you just go to sleep, girl? You're okay. Just take a nap. Enjoy.
I need her to come to give me a nap then. Make my brain shut up. I'll take it.
Oh my gosh. Me too. Let me tell you.
But the good news is that this article, that even if it drove you insane, it got us talking about this. It got us to talk about Nocturne again, which is so exciting, in all honesty. And so, Screen Grant, even though you hurt our brains, thank you for doing this. Do it again.
Thank you for giving me a reason to talk about Nocturne. Even though I do not need a reason, I will find a reason every single day.
It's true. So, just like how you'll connect anything to Kurt, you'll do the same with her.
Oh yeah. Anything. Well, the thing is, it's just, all I gotta do is get it to Kurt, and I get it right to her. So there you go.
There you go.
Really easy. Super easy. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you for letting me go off. No hard feelings, Spencer Connolly. I love you for what you did. Thank you for bringing my girl up, and just if you have not read Exiles, DM me, because I will literally send you all of Exiles, and you can read it, because it is literally probably the best I'm going to say it. It is the best X book I have ever read. Like, Judd Winnick's Exiles, the best X book I've ever read from beginning to end. It's just absolutely fantastic. And maybe I'm biased because I love Nocturne so much. Maybe I'm biased because it was one of the first comic books I really actually got really, really into when I started reading comics in my 20s. But, pardon me. It is exquisitely done, and it is a joy to behold, and it is absolutely fantastic. So I highly recommend it to everyone, and especially to Spencer Connolly. Please take a look at it. You will love it. So, but for those of you out there who are listening and have read it, thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who haven't, also thank you so much for joining us. We love you all equally. Lauren, why don't you tell everybody where they can find us?
Oh yeah. So you can find our pod. You can find everything on our site, simplyamazingpod.com. Lisa made it. It's a beautiful site. Please go there. Everything's on there. Links to our Twitter are on there at simplyamzingpod. And everything else is on there. Our episodes, our Instagram, all that cool stuff. It's fantastic. We have a blog. It's great. We do giveaways. There's so much happening, guys. So you have to check it out. You can find me on Twitter at friendlymBHDBI, and come yell at me about how I need to read Exiles more, just like Lisa does on a daily basis.
Yes, Exiles and Saga. We're going to get into that.
Oh, yeah. I got yelled at about Saga today, too.
We're going to get into that. And you can find me at the OGNACHTURNE. I am on Twitter there. You can find me at just Nocturne on lots of other things, Instagram and stuff. But you can find me, I'm mostly on Twitter. And for those of you out there listening, if you have just opened up a portal to the Brimstone dimension and you're like, where's my Hex Pulse? I don't know, man, but just close it up. But still, you're simply amazing.